I'm here today with Matthew from Quest, and we're going to be discussing how Quest fits into the New Zealand market. Welcome, Matthew.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So first off, we'll have a discussion just in terms of, tell me a little bit about Quest, in particular how it fits into the New Zealand market.
Right now, we can't just talk about the New Zealand market on its own. We actually have to talk really about the New Zealand market in the COVID environment that the worldwide market is in now. And that's made a huge shift in work practices. People are suddenly working from home, and having had that culture shift forced upon them, a lot of people are liking it. They like the idea that I don't have to come into an office. I come into an office when I need to. And so what that's led to is first we had an emergency shift of people changing their entire routine. And what's happening, we're seeing happening now is corporations, or all the way, big corporations, big enterprises, all the way down to the small companies, are realising that there's now a swathe of follow-up work that they have to do to manage this new largely remote workforce, to secure them. And what is significant for Quest in this market is that unlike a lot of vendors, we are ideally situated to work with all sizes of company. So from the big enterprises all the way through to the SMEs. Mm-hmm. And most importantly for the New Zealand market and the resellers is we're in a position to work with MSPs, which most of our resellers are. They're an MSP to one level or another, and get them to give genuine value to their customers, regardless of how big those customers are.
Tell me about Quest as an actual product. As a high level, run me through it.
If I sit here and just recite all of the products that Quest does, we'll be here for a quarter of an hour and you'll have forgotten completely the first few that we do. The summary is really to look at what we do broadly. Basically, we move, we manage, and we secure. And if you've got any of those things that you need to do for a customer's information systems, we can help you. The other thing which I have said when people specifically talk to me about how we help in a Microsoft environment is we do all of the stuff that Microsoft either don't do or they don't do it very well. And we fill out all of the mobility, the security, the monitoring, be it of mail systems, databases, online infrastructure, on-premises infrastructure, etc. And that's really where we come down to, is where we can help any organisation.
Okay, so if you think about the partners in the landscape today, what would be a perfect sort of partner that you look for Quest?
Really looking for a partner that is looking at a broad portfolio of services and is looking to build a genuine value-added infrastructure and to have a single partner that they can do all of that with, because that is a major advantage that we give. Because of the areas which we work in is so broad, from databases to endpoint infrastructure, to Active Directory, security and management, backup and recovery, and so on, we can basically give a reseller or an MSP really a complete set of solutions. Mm-hmm. And they only have to deal with one vendor. They only have to deal with us. And that leads up to the other obvious advantage. We are in country, and many of our competitors who work in this particular space are not.
Right, okay. So how easy is it for a partner to become a Quest reseller?
Fairly straightforward. Basically go onto our partner portal website and sign up. And that will then kick into gear all of the necessary mechanics to get us to engage with you. and to engage obviously with our distributor, Distributor, and it's at that point that your local account team, of which I'm part, will engage with you and find out which parts of the Quest portfolio are going to make the most immediate difference to you. Usually when customers and resellers want to talk to us, they're looking at a specific requirement. They've got a specific job and they're sitting there going, oh, Quest does that, and they do some other things as well. And so we'll start off by giving you that quick win, giving you that first success. And then we'll take you into the wider portfolio from there.
So how do you support resellers to launch new offerings and then to scale them when technology is such a rapidly changing environment?
We basically have a continuous training system. We will do everything from full online webinars. What we have found to be most successful, and we have done this recently with Distributor, is a program we refer to as Fast 15s. And that is literally, it's an online Teams call. It takes 15 minutes, and we talk about a specific customer requirement and how the reseller and Quest can basically solve that specific customer requirement. So we keep it very, very narrow focused, very easy to understand, but also very easy to then convey to the resellers' customers and to enable them to take it to market. And we give supporting material, cost information, documentation, glossies, and so on, basically, but as a very, very small, tight 15-minute package.
Fantastic. And what do you see as the big bets for Quest over the next 12 months?
The big news recently is we've had a couple of major acquisitions, including Binary Tree and most recently Quadratech.
Okay.
So we are obviously betting fairly high that the migration tool sets, which we are basically the market leader, well, we were before, we definitely are now. And so that the migration is still very much in play. Microsoft has announced some new enhancements, some new free migration tools. People are already finding that they are very, very limited. Yes, they're free, so you get what you pay for. Whereas the Quest solutions, as we said, they're much more all-encompassing, and they still cover huge areas that Microsoft do not. For example, we still get regular inquiries to help migrate Google Gmail environments, the old school Notes environments, and even we've actually had one for GroupWise. And there was also a Unix mail system that somebody needed to migrate. These are all things that we do. Microsoft, really the only thing they can help you with is a migration from an old Microsoft environment to a new online environment. That's really all they do.
So you mentioned MSPs before. Do you want to talk me through how you see the changes for MSPs and how Quest is developing and creating programs around that?
Sure. So the big shift obviously for MSPs is the move to cloud. And what we're seeing then is complementary to that, a whole range of services that are needed that are basically SaaS services. So with Quest, we've done this pretty much now across the portfolio. Firstly, we've extended the services of our monitoring products, for example, to make sure that they will monitor all of the major cloud vendors, be it Amazon or Microsoft in Azure. But what we also are doing now is moving very cost-effective monitoring tools, for example, our Spotlight Cloud product. And those are being moved into a true SaaS, have moved into a true SaaS environment and are a SaaS offering in themselves. So Spotlight Cloud, for example, monitors Microsoft SQL Server. And that, of course, includes all of the new variations that have now been made available through Microsoft development of their Azure SQL offerings. But in addition to that, we have our on-demand portfolio, which include auditing, which is incredibly important now for the hybrid environments because of the security implications they have. Also, software licensing, which is extremely helpful for smaller organizations who can't afford to go out and buy one of the big Microsoft licensing management products. We have a range of group management and migration products, and all of these are on demand. They're all SaaS based. And they also include things like Active Directory backup and recovery, which again, your Active Directory is a key part of your entire infrastructure. So all of this is manageable from the MSP's point of view from a single pane of glass, and they can, all of their customers who they've signed up to these programs can be viewed through that single view. And they can then give a sub-view to their customers so that the customers can get the same view, but they only see their components. They obviously don't see anybody else who is a customer of that MSP. And the big advantage here is it's very quick to deploy. It's a SaaS infrastructure. It's all SaaS infrastructure. Again, it covers all of those very, very essential pain points that customers have, and it scales. So an awful lot of New Zealand companies are less than 10 users, less than 20 users. They're very small. And we have an entire infrastructure of MSPs who specialize in this sort of 10 to 50 or 10 to 100 user environments, because it's very efficient for them to outsource their IT as far as they possibly can. And so consequently we have all of these IT shops who are focused there. And being able to have a single view of everything that is going on, because they tend to be very Microsoft centric, obviously, and being able to help them adopt cloud and gain the cost benefits of cloud, but then monitor all of it, audit it, secure it, back it up, recover it, all of those essential tools, but all as part of a complete SaaS view. And that really fits into the New Zealand market and the size requirements and the scaling requirements of the New Zealand market.
Is there any minimums to enter into the MSP model?
No, which is one of the key advantages of it.
Okay.
The MSP models are basically designed. There are obviously scaling considerations, and so the profitability for the MSP gets better and better over the years, because obviously your overall purchasing numbers obviously will grow over time. Yep. And so you gain the benefit of the total growth, so that when you come round to your following year's renewal, you're into the next band of purchase, so you're saving that money, and well, it's up to you. Do you hand that money onto your end customers and use it as a price competitive thing, or do you keep that as your profit? That's up to you.
And if someone was interested in learning more about Quest, what would be the next steps from here?
Next step from here, go to the partner portal, sign up, very simple, very quick, and that really puts everything in motion. Your local account team is obviously alerted to you signing up. You get immediate access to a lot of the training materials and technical sales materials that you'll need, and you'll get a phone call from your friendly neighbourhood Quest representative, who will start talking to you about what you need, what's your immediate requirements, and we'll get you with your first wins on the board as quickly as we can.
And final question. As you mentioned before, there's been a few acquisitions and things over sort of particularly the last year with Quest. What are you most excited about for Quest in the next 6 months?
My excitement really is we are developing really the cloud infrastructure and where all of that is going. So the security and the monitoring and the recovery capabilities that we're now bringing on as part of our development and part of our expansions. That's really where I see a lot of the requirements are. And again, it's the way we're doing it, we're making it easy to deploy. And that's going to resonate with an awful lot of people who, and an awful lot of end customers, but an awful lot of resellers and MSPs. And that will give a really significant change in the direction that people can take their organisations.
Brilliant. Thank you, Matthew, for that insight into Quest and how you see this portraying the New Zealand market over the coming year.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.